In the dark corners of Japan, some whispers are not meant to be heard. They say when night falls, the veil between the living and the dead grows thin. Teke Teke crawls, searching for her missing legs. Kuchisake-Onna smiles through a slit mouth, dripping with blood. Aka Manto waits in bathrooms, asking red or blue. And somewhere in the distance, the bones of Gashadokuro grind against the earth, searching for its next victim. These are not just stories, they are warnings. Japan, the land of cherry blossoms, neon lights, and technology. But beneath that beauty lies a shadow, a deep, ancient darkness. Here, in the still of the night, legends come alive. Vengeful spirits, cursed rituals, and haunted souls walk among the living. For centuries, the Japanese have whispered tales of beings born from tragedy, revenge, and pain. Spirits that never rest. Some say they are only myths, but others swear they've seen them in mirrors, alleys, and school corridors just before they vanish forever. Tonight, we descend into the most terrifying legends in Japan. Each story you'll hear is based on a real legend. Tales that terrified generations, whispered around campfires, and banned in schools. And once you listen, you'll never forget. If you are a true lover of horror, dark folklore, and terrifying myths from around the world, subscribe now to join our haunted family. Because here, every story leaves a scar. The first story, Teke Teke, the Crawling Spirit. The night was cold, too cold. A train sliced through the silence of Hokkaido's outskirts, its echo rolling through the endless fog. Inside the station, the last passenger waited, a young girl named Aiko. Her breath hung in the air like pale ghosts. She checked her phone, 11:47 p.m. The next train wasn't due for another hour. She sighed, tightening her scarf, the sound of the wind howling through broken glass windows behind her. But then a faint scraping echoed through the platform. Tick, tick. Metal against concrete, slow, uneven. Aiko froze. She looked down the empty rails. Nothing. Only the mist moving like a living thing. She shook her head, whispering nervously, "It's just the wind." But then, again, closer this time. Teke, teke. Her phone buzzed. A new message appeared. "If you hear the sound, run." She stared at the screen, her hands trembling. "Who sent this?" she whispered, before the power suddenly cut out. The entire station plunged into blackness. The air grew heavy, and through the dark she saw it. A silhouette dragging itself across the ground. It had no legs. Its hands scraped the floor, pulling its mutilated body forward. The sound of bone grinding against metal filled the air. Teke, teke. Long ago, they said, there was a girl, a schoolgirl, who fell on the train tracks one winter night. The train split her body in half. But her rage, her pain, refused to die. Her spirit returned, crawling on her elbows, carrying a rusted sickle, cutting anyone who crosses her path, because she wants one thing: your legs. Aiko stumbled backward, whispering prayer she barely remembered. The creature's pale face emerged from the fog, eyes empty, mouth twisted in a grin of agony. Its uniform was tattered, soaked in blackened blood. It stopped only a few feet away, its head tilting, studying Aiko. "What do you want?" Aiko cried, backing up against a wall. Then the spirit's voice came, a broken whisper between screams. "Where are my legs?" Aiko turned and ran down the frozen corridor, her footsteps echoing off the tiles. The creature followed faster than anything should crawl. The sound of teke, teke, teke filled the hall, louder, sharper. She burst through the exit, sprinting into the snow, but the creature was right behind her. Every shadow moved, every breath burned, and then silence. She looked back. It was gone, or so she thought. When the authorities found her body the next morning, she was cut clean in half. No tracks, no footprints, only a faint trail of drag marks in the snow leading to the train tracks. They say if you walk alone near train stations at night in Japan and you hear a scraping sound like teke, 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 don't look back, don't stop, run, because if she reaches you, she'll take your legs and you'll crawl beside her forever.
The second story. Kuchisake-Onna, the slit-mouthed woman. Do you think I'm beautiful? That's the last thing people hear before their screams are swallowed by the night. Tokyo, late autumn. Rain poured down like liquid glass, washing the neon reflections into the streets. A woman in a long beige coat walked alone under her umbrella. The faint click of her heels echoed against the narrow alleyway. The city slept, except for the whispers. Urban legends, ghost tales, things parents told their kids to keep them home after dark. But tonight, those tales were walking. At the same time, across town, Haruto, a high school student, was walking home after cram school. His route cut through an old alley known as Yotsuya Lane, a place most avoided after midnight. His phone battery was dying, 2%, and the rain made every sound sharper. Then he saw her. A tall woman stood under a flickering streetlight. Her coat fluttered in the wind. She wore a white surgical mask, like so many in the city did. Her long black hair covered part of her face. She stood motionless. Then she tilted her head slightly. "Good evening," Haruto said nervously. No reply. Just the whisper of rain on pavement. Then she stepped closer. Her voice was soft, delicate, almost melodic. "Am I beautiful?" Haruto blinked. Yes, you are." She giggled, a sound like broken glass. Then, slowly, she reached to her face and pulled down the mask. Beneath it, her mouth was split open from ear to ear. Her lips were carved deep, crimson lines stretching into a grotesque smile. Her teeth glistened in the rain, stained with blood. She leaned closer. even like this. Haruto stumbled backward, horrified. The woman's grin widened unnaturally, as if the skin itself obeyed her rage. From her coat she drew a pair of rusty scissors, the blades long and jagged. He turned and ran, his footsteps splashing through the puddles. Her laughter echoed behind him. "Am I beautiful now?" Her voice was everywhere, from the rooftops, from the rain, from inside his head. He sprinted through the narrow alleys, every turn looking the same, every shadow watching. He screamed for help, but no one answered. Years ago, they said she was a woman betrayed. Once adored for her beauty, she was accused of infidelity by her husband, a jealous samurai. In his rage, he slashed her face open, shouting, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" But she didn't die quietly. Her hatred lingered, trapped between worlds, feeding on vanity, fear, and lies. Now she wanders Japan's streets, asking the same question she once feared most. If you lie and say yes, she cuts your mouth to look like hers. If you say no, she kills you. Only one answer might save you. You look normal, but few remember that in time. Haruto dashed into a park, gasping for air, heart pounding in his chest. He looked around, empty, just the rain and the faint hum of vending machines. He leaned against a tree, trembling, and then a reflection. In the glass of the vending machine, he saw her, standing behind him. The scissors gleamed under the dim light. She smiled, wide, impossible. Snap! The blades opened, and the rain drowned out the screams. When morning came, Haruto's body was found near the vending machine, his mouth carved open. A white mask lay beside him, soaked in blood. They say if you walk home alone at night in Japan, and a woman in a mask asks you if you think she's beautiful, don't answer. Just run, because no matter what you say, she'll make sure you look just like her. The third story, aka Manto, the red and blue cloak. Not under your bed, not in your closet, but in the last stall of a public restroom. You'll hear the faint rustle of fabric, then a whisper. Would you like the red paper or the blue one? It was winter in Kyoto. The air was dry and heavy with silence, the kind that makes you hear your own heartbeat. A group of high school friends, Aya, Mika, and Kenta, were on their way home after cram school when Mika whispered, "Have you ever heard of Aka Manto?" Aya frowned. "That bathroom ghost thing?" Kenta smirked. "It's just a story teachers tell to stop kids from playing around at night." But Mika's voice dropped, serious. "They say he appears in bathrooms that have red doors or old, unused ones. He asks a question, and if you answer wrong, you disappear." The others laughed it off. But by the time they reached the train station, snow was falling, soft, soundless flakes that blanketed everything.
And that was when Aya realized she had to use the bathroom. The restroom was dimly lit, flickering fluorescent lights reflecting off cracked tiles. The air smelled of damp concrete and metal. Only one stall door was closed, the last one, its paint peeling but faintly red underneath. She hesitated, then entered the second stall from the end. As she sat, a sudden rustling sound came from the last stall, like fabric moving. Then silence. Her breath caught. She looked down. Under the divider, 2 black boots were facing her direction. A voice, soft and masculine, echoed through the cold air. "Would you like the red paper or the blue one?" Her blood froze. She thought, "A prank, it has to be." But then the stall lights dimmed. The air turned colder. She could smell something metallic, blood, faint but real. The voice came again, closer this time. "Red or blue?" Aya stammered, "Neither." The boots didn't move. Then the voice whispered, "Wrong answer." They found her the next morning. Her body was slumped against the stall wall. Her skin had been peeled open, her blood painting the walls in long crimson strokes, as if she were wrapped in a red cloak. The police called it a suicide, but there were no blades found, no fingerprints, only a single blue origami paper folded neatly on the sink. Weeks later, Kenta returned to that same station. He didn't believe it. He wanted to prove it was just superstition. He waited until midnight. The snowstorm outside howled against the windows. He entered the same restroom. It was colder now, and the lights flickered violently. He stood before the last stall. His voice shook. "Red or blue paper, huh?" The stall door creaked open by itself, and in the darkness inside, something moved. A figure draped in flowing red fabric, its face covered with a white porcelain mask. It tilted its head. Then, from behind the mask, the voice whispered, "Would you like the red paper or the blue one?" Kenta's throat grew dry. He tried to run, but the stall door slammed shut. His screams echoed through the tiled room, blending with the sound of tearing flesh. They say Aka Manto was once a handsome man, an aristocrat from centuries past, obsessed with his appearance. When his beauty began to fade, he wore a mask and red cloak to hide his face. Eventually, he took his own life in a public bathroom, vowing to punish those who valued appearances as he did. Now his spirit lingers, a demon of vanity and vengeance. Those who choose red are skinned alive. Those who choose blue are strangled until their faces turn blue. Those who say neither are dragged into the mirror world, never to return. In schools across Japan, janitors report lights flickering at night, toilets flushing on their own, faint laughter echoing from empty stalls. Children whisper that if you ever find yourself alone in a bathroom and you hear that question, you must never answer. Because whether you say red, blue, or nothing at all, Aka Manto always gets what he wants. The fourth story. When the earth trembles without reason, and you hear the rattle of unseen bones in the dark, don't look up, because above you, towering over the trees and buildings, Gashadokuro watches, a skeleton born from starvation, rage, and forgotten death. And when he sees you, he hungers for your life. Japan's countryside holds countless secrets buried beneath moss and time. Villages long abandoned whisper with the wind through cracked shrines, and forests hide stories that never wanted to be remembered. Among them, the tale of Gashadokuro, the starving skeleton, stands taller than all. It is said that after wars and famines, when countless bodies were left unburied, their souls fused together in hatred. They rose as one gigantic being, taller than a temple gate, their hollow stalls filled with eternal hunger. In the mountains of Iwate Prefecture, a small rural town still avoids walking the old path at night. The locals call it the Silent Road. They say no birds sing there and no animals cross after dusk. But a traveler named Tatsuya, a young photographer seeking the unknown, didn't believe in such tales. He wanted proof, photos that would make him famous among urban explorers and paranormal enthusiasts. He arrived one evening just as the fog began to roll in. His camera clicked, capturing twisted branches and stone graves. "Another ghost story," he whispered, smirking. But when his flashlight flickered, he felt something shift beneath his feet, as if the earth itself sighed. Then came the sound, faint at first, a rattling, like someone shaking a bag of bones. He turned. The forest was empty. Then again, louder this time, clack, clack, clack. The sound seemed to echo from everywhere, bouncing between the trees. The air grew heavy, cold, and then silent again. Tatsuya lifted his camera to take another shot. Through the lens he saw movement, a pale shape rising above the tree line. The camera's autofocus stuttered, failing to lock onto anything. And then the forest moved. A massive skeletal hand crashed through the trees, sending roots and soil flying. The moonlight illuminated a monstrous figure, bones towering 30 meters high, ribs curved like the arches of a temple. Empty sockets glowed with a sickly green light. Gashadokuro had awakened. Its jaw opened with a crack that shook the valley, releasing a groan that didn't sound like a voice, but 1,000 tortured whispers speaking as one. Tatsuya stumbled backward, snapping photo after photo, until his camera froze. He tried to run, but with every step, the sound of bones followed him. He could feel its shadow stretching over him. The skeleton bent low, its skull descending like a moon of death. He heard it breathe, a dry, hollow wind that carried the stench of decay and dust. Tatsuya fell to his knees, trembling, his flashlight rolling away. Then, silence. He dared to look up. The skull hovered inches from his face, its jaw creaking open, and the 1,000 whispering voices hissed one word: hunger. The last thing Tatsuya saw before darkness claimed him was his own reflection in those empty sockets. Then the sound of snapping bones echoed through the night. The discovery. The next morning, hikers found Tatsuya's camera half buried in mud. The memory card contained a single image, a blur of motion, trees bent backward, and in the distance, what looked like a giant skull, faint but unmistakable. Authorities called it a camera glitch. The locals didn't argue. They just sealed off the silent road again. But some say on cold moonless nights the rattling returns. Those who stay long enough to hear the second rattle never return to tell their story. Gashadokuro remains one of Japan's most feared yokai, a spirit born not from one soul, but from many. It is said he can only be stopped if you hear the bones early enough to flee before his gaze falls upon you. So, next time the wind howls and something unseen rattles nearby, don't stop to listen, don't take a picture, just run. Because when Gashadokuro hungers again, he remembers the faces of those who doubted he was real. The fifth story. In Japan, vengeance never truly dies. It lingers where pain once lived, in houses that remember screams, in mirrors that reflect the dead, and in dreams that are not your own. When an Onryo rises, no prayer, no light, and no mercy can stop her. Her wrath is eternal, and tonight she has remembered your name. Among all Japan's spirits, demons, and cursed yokai, none are feared more than the Onryo, the spirit of vengeance. She is not born from darkness, she becomes darkness. A woman wronged, betrayed, or murdered, whose hatred burns so fiercely that death cannot contain it. Her spirit returns, pale, silent, and weeping, to bring ruin not only to those who hurt her, but to anyone who crosses her cursed path. In the quiet suburbs of Amori, there stands a traditional wooden house left to rot. Locals call it the mourning house. Its windows are black with soot, its roof sagging like tired shoulders. They say if you stand outside after midnight, you'll hear the faint sound of sobbing, a woman's voice echoing through the halls. No one goes near it anymore. No one except Mika, a university student studying Japanese folklore. She came from Tokyo with her camera and recorder, hoping to document the legend for her thesis, The Persistence of Grief in Japanese Ghost Myths. Her professor warned her, "There are some stories we study from afar, not within." But Mika wanted truth, not superstition. She arrived at dusk, pushing through the overgrown grass. The house loomed ahead like a sleeping beast. She started recording. Local reports described crying noises, flickering lights, and shadows moving behind the curtains. Tonight I'll see if there's any truth to it. The wooden floor groaned as she entered. Dust drifted like fog. The air smelled of incense long burned out. Each step deeper into the house felt heavier, as if unseen eyes were following. Mika set her camera on a tripod and began to film. Minutes passed, only silence. Then A sound. Soft, trembling, like someone sobbing in the next room. Mika froze. The sound grew louder, closer. She followed it into the hallway, her flashlight trembling in her hand. The air grew colder. She reached a door at the end, old, red paint flaking away. The crying stopped. She pushed the door open, and inside was an old bedroom. The futon was still laid out, and a mirror leaned, cracked against the wall. On it, written in faint black ink, were words smeared by fingers. He lied. Mika's heart pounded. She stepped closer to the mirror, and then the reflection moved. Not her own. A woman stood behind her, long black hair hanging like a curtain, her kimono soaked in darkness. Mika turned, but no one was there. The reflection smiled. Then its mouth ripped open from ear to ear, a scream tearing through the glass. Mika fell backward, her recorder clattering across the floor. The sobbing returned, but this time it came from inside the walls. She scrambled to the door, but it slammed shut. A whisper pressed against her ear. He promised he loved me. She screamed, pounding the door. The mirror behind her cracked again, and through it a pale hand crawled out, nails long and sharp, dragging along the wood. Then came another hand, then her face, the Onryo, her eyes black voids dripping blood. Mika's flashlight shattered, darkness swallowed the room, and then only silence. The legend revealed. The next morning, the police found her car still parked outside the house. Her equipment was there, but her camera was gone. 2 weeks later, a fisherman found it downstream, half buried in mud. The footage was damaged, except for the final 30 seconds. It showed Mika running, gasping, her voice trembling. "If anyone finds this, she's real. Don't—" The video cut to static. Then, for one frame, a pale woman appeared, staring directly into the lens, her eyes black, her mouth bleeding. The timestamp on the video? It was recorded 2 hours after her death. The curse today. To this day, the mourning house still stands. No one tears it down because those who tried disappeared. Locals say the Onryo doesn't haunt a place. She haunts regret. Those who feel guilt, betrayal, or grief, she senses them. She comes to remind them that pain never dies. So if you ever wake up and hear quiet sobbing in the dark, don't open your eyes. Don't turn on the light, because once you see her, she'll know you saw, and she'll never let you forget her face. Japan's legends are more than stories. They're echoes of real suffering, emotions so powerful that they shape the supernatural. The Onryo reminds us that revenge has no end, only repetition. If you enjoyed this journey through Japan's darkest myths, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Tell us in the comments what terrifying story or legend you want to see next, because sometimes your comment might be the next story, and she'll be listening.